Hey there, Doc. Welcome back to the Educated Associate YouTube channel. Today we're diving deep into a topic that resonates with many of us, and that's budgeting and the struggles that come with it. If you've ever sat down to write that budget, only to find out that you run out of money before the end of the month, despite all of your best efforts, you're simply not alone. And I've been in your shoes more times than I care to admit, but I'm here to share my story, my journey, my personal insights on this frustrating cycle. I always seem to have the best intentions in mind. I'd see an unexpected $500 sitting in my checking account and I'd think to myself, hey, instead of letting this sit here, I should invest that money into the S&P 500. But then, that very next weekend, like the world knew I was out of money, a flat tire would show up on my car and I'd have to sell off all those investments and I'd use that money to cover those costs. By the time I actually withdrew that money and paid taxes on my investments, I often found that I lost money, so that $500 I put in was now really like $420. To make matters worse, and really the toughest pill for me to swallow, was realizing that despite my income growing from $40,000 when I was a medical assistant to well over $180,000 working as a dentist, I still had this reoccurring broke millennial phenomenon happening seemingly monthly. What did this mean? I was the problem. It wasn't my budget. It wasn't my income. It was my habits and myself that were responsible. Self-reflection can just be tough sometimes. I realized that the feeling of defeat I was experiencing was all too familiar with many other associates trying to balance their personal finances. After going through this cycle again and again, I knew I had to dig deeper. I examined not just my budgeting plan, but also my spending patterns, and potentially more importantly, my psychology. You're probably wondering, what did I discover? At the intersection of those three elements, I found my problem. I am a human, and humans have tendencies. As Morgan Housel writes in the book, The Psychology of Money, we are all wired differently when it comes to money, and our personal tendencies and habits tend to drive our behaviors, and changing those behaviors can be very challenging. On the surface level, that sounds pretty silly, but quite frankly, it's true. We all have ingrained tendencies that tend to shape our financial decisions. When we budget, we're attempting to change these tendencies by simply telling ourselves, I just won't spend money on this, or I'll spend less money on that. But let's be honest here for a moment. How often does that simple telling yourself to spend less money actually work? Maybe once, maybe twice, but certainly over the long haul, it's very unlikely to stick. For me, I would spend whatever money I could see in my checking account. So I'd log in and I would spend whatever money I saw in my checking account. So I thought to myself, if I don't see it, maybe I just won't spend it. This realization led me to implement a system of multiple checking accounts, which was my initial solution, and it worked well for me. Now let's go ahead and talk more about this solution. I originally saw the concept introduced while I was reading the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, which is mostly about focusing on business finances and profit. Let me briefly break down how my version of the Profit First system works on the personal finance level, built specifically for associate dentists. Simply put, the system recommends setting up at least 4 separate bank accounts. The first account is kind of your catch-all. It catches all of your deposit, covers all your essential bills, student loan payments, mortgages, all those required monthly payments all go in and out of this initial first account. The second account sets aside money for taxes, preparing you for that annual and reoccurring expense that we all seemingly forget every year. The third account serves as your emergency fund. This is your short-term savings account for any unexpected bills like that flat tire I referred to at the beginning. That way we're not taking money from our true retirement account, which is the final account or account 4. The final account, this account should be totally separate from your other accounts, and this is your profit account or your retirement account is what I call it. This account is there to accumulate money without you actually realizing that it's there, thus freeing you from that cycle of feeling like a broke millennial. In my mind, there is a special step that you should implement with this fourth account that virtually guarantees your success, but I don't want to unveil it here today. If you found this concept interesting, or you simply want more information on the multi-account system, please go to my website using the link above at dentalwealthmastery.com and book a free strategy call. In summary, implementing this multi-account strategy was truly a game changer for me. It enabled me to break free from what I'm calling the reoccurring broke millennial mentality. Again, let's take control of your personal finances starting today.